Happy July, and welcome to another empowering episode of the Slave Food Conversation, where two African-American physicians, Dr. Columbus Batiste, cardiologist, and Dr. Eric Walsh, emergency room physician and doctorate of public health, explore the role of racism as a unique form of stress and the weaponization of food in the creation of health disparities in the African-American community, irrespective of income. They discovered that eating a whole food plant-based diet in urban communities is not only possible, but is the key to eliminating health disparities. Physical activity is especially important for African Americans who face increased rate of high blood pressure. Based on recent studies that found regular exercise helped African Americans reduce risk of developing high blood pressure by up to 24%. Today, we introduce vegan coach and bodybuilding master, Korin Sutton, to the conversation. Mr. Sutton is the definition of a pro when it comes to fitness and nutrition. He is the president of BodyHD Fitness, a personal training company focused on providing real results. Korin Sutton works as a health coach and ISSA Master Fitness Trainer. He has an Associate of Science degree in exercise sciences. Korin dedicates his life to successfully transform literally hundreds of lives. This episode focuses on building resilience for physical and mental health in the body. The Slave Food team and Korin Sutton will explore the role of fitness as an antidote to stress and chronic disease. In addition, they will discuss the importance of nutrition and rest in exercise performance. As always, the Slave Food team thanks you for your support. We have reached over 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. Please continue to spread the word about the Slave Food Project and subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking the subscribe button. Now, if you're able, feel free to walk in place while you enjoy this eye-opening conversation.
Thanks, Nat. Korin, what's up, man? How you doing?
Everything's good. Everything's good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, man, it's good to see you. Good to see you. Eric, I don't know if he's not on social media, so Eric's not on social media much, so I don't know how familiar he is with you, but
I looked you up when you sent it around. I'm very impressed, and you're in Miami, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I finished high school at Palmetto High School down there, and went to med school at the University of Miami. So,
nice.
A real Miami kid too. Good stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, I was in Taravella. I don't know if you know that place in Cold Springs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Yeah, no, and here's the thing. I'm seeing like all this stuff behind you. I'm feeling a little bit naked right now. I mean, I'm seeing, I don't know if that's like samurai swords. I'm seeing like medals. I'm seeing like trophies. Dude, what's going on? What's all that about?
It's all rewards. So even the swords. So that's all from bodybuilding. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And just last week I competed and I won like the best poser reward, which was pretty cool.
Wow.
We got couple top places in that as well within the bodybuilding circuits. Yeah.
No, that's good
That's
stuff.
awesome.
You know, we're gonna bring on like another fitness guy, someone that we know real well, who's gonna join our conversation as we talk with you. So while we bring on to those backstage, we got our normal folks in addition to Danette, supported by Healthy Heart Nation, or not the nonprofit that supports this. Brian Hardy, I don't know if you want to bring in Neil Davis. Hey, Neil, how are you?
I'm great. Glad to be here.
Good to see you.
Good to see you,
Neil. Yes. So Korin, Neil is another fitness advocate that's out there too as well. Join the conversation as we triple team you to ask you a bunch of questions and have this robust conversation, man.
Yeah. I'm still at work, so if I have to hop off, Neil's gonna fill in for me for sure.
Well, we figure you doing all that bench press, you could bench all three of us and kind of, you could balance all of this.
No doubt.
So I'm gonna kick it off. So number one, should bodybuilding be an Olympic sport? You got the Olympics around the corner. You're a bodybuilder. You're a professional. You're a pro. What do you think?
I think it would be cool, but I don't know. I have to be very honest with y'all. Like, I don't know how it would be regulated, because like there's two different circuits, and the one circuit is the tested, right? Where they test athletes for obviously for steroids and illegal substances. And then you have the untested, which obviously they don't care, right? Now, the thing is that if they do make it an Olympic sport, the most popular bodybuilding that's out there, you know, like the Arnolds, Mr. Olympia, guess where they stand at? The untested, you know?
Gotcha. So
I don't know how that arena would transition more into the Olympic world, because it would definitely take out all their top competitors. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it would be more. I mean, I think it would be it'd be better and be fair and it'd be pretty cool to see, like, so people can really recognize what natural athletes actually look like, because today's social media, you know, and just the fitness industry alone, a lot of people take steroids. Like, it's ridiculous how many people are that are enhanced athletes. You know, it's ridiculous how many people that do it. And so even like someone like myself, I used to get a lot of comments. I don't get it anymore, because I think people, like, when I show my pictures of the people I'm going against, they're like, oh yeah, clearly this guy is natural, you know, because it's just a night and day difference. But I just know that when it comes down to the Olympics itself, it would definitely separate that, you know. So I wouldn't know how it would be. I mean, it would be pretty cool to see it, but it would be pretty hard to separate from natural and untested athletes, especially with the popularity and stuff like that. Yeah.
Got it. Neil, what's your favorite Olympic sport?
My favorite Olympic sport would have to be track and field, and especially the sprints. So male, female, 100 meters, 200 meters, maybe the 4 and the relays. That's something that I've just always enjoyed from, you know, the time I was a little pup. You know, 76 Olympics would probably be the first Olympics I remember, and that was vaguely, I was 6. So I would say, you know, from there, I was a big Carl Lewis fan, and so I love to see sprinters. So that's something that really kind of gets me going in regards to the Olympics.
Gotcha. Again, that's good stuff. I'd have to agree. Eric, what about you?
I like a lot of it, but I think I'd go with Neil. Being that my parents are from Jamaica, I like the sprinters.
I thought you were gonna say bobsled. Jamaican bobsled team.
They're not very good at that. No, they're not very good at that.
All right.
But, I like the track and field. I like the sprint, and I really love our American sprinters too. There's one sister now that just came out with her own shoe company after she was pregnant, and then Nike dropped her. And I'm rooting for her all the way to
Felix, yes.
Yeah, to stick it to Nike for dropping the young lady. That was kind of foul. So, I'm looking forward to the Olympics. But for me, one thing as a doctor, I want a couple of things. I want to go back to something Korin said. Is we don't know how these enhanced athletes are actually, how does enhancing of themselves actually going to affect some of these people's long-term health. We do know that there's some serious health negative consequences. So we definitely want to just kind of put that out there. But I guess my question to Korin first and then to Neil is, you know, as Black people are viewed as being so athletic, does that create some kind of like deception? Is it almost harder for us to get in? If you're training African Americans, you know, is there a different approach you almost have to take? Because, you know, we're always being told we're so athletic, even though I'm not so sure really in the big scheme of things we're any more athletic or less athletic than anyone else.
Like in the bodybuilding?
It's just in general. I mean, you know, I remember doing a talk on stereotypes and comparing them to like 100 years ago to today. Today, the number one stereotype is that Black people are athletic. That's like a top stereotype. So, you know, but a lot of us clearly are not. So, you know, how does that factor in when you go to train someone? How does it, you know, do you have to deal with Black people differently because, you know, the world is telling us we're athletic when maybe we're not that athletic?
No, I mean, not really. There's no difference when it comes to the race of the individual. I mean, there's probably some genetic advantages, you know, because like, for example, like for bodybuilding, for example, is and especially like for a woman, right? Because I train a couple bikini athletes, right? So for a woman who's African American, it's a lot easier to get the curves, you know, and build more muscle than someone who's Caucasian, you know what I'm saying, from or European descent. And that's just because of genetics. Like genetically, you know, African women is going to be able to put on muscle faster and have better curves and more muscle density. I mean, that's just genetics, you know, it's nothing you can do. But that's what the sport is really all about. It's like some of it does play genetics, but it doesn't mean that it's impossible. You know, versus like someone who's Caucasian, they just have to work harder. Even like someone like myself, I'm more of an ectomorph, you know, I'm not really a mesomorph. You know, mesomorph is more like that true athletic bodybuilding body type. And those are
Korin, break that down a bit. Break that down for those of us who don't know what ectomorph and mesomorph and all that other business. What is that?
So you have like 3 types. So you have like endo, was it? No, so you have ecto, which is like the lean running type. They're more carb dominant, you know. So these are the ones that, you know, why my friend can eat whatever they want and they never get fat. So it's like they're more of an ectomorph, you know. They're more carb dominant, more running type. So if you go into the sport of running, like you have the advantage, and that's even with running. People even say like runners aren't trained; they're born, and it's pretty much true. You know, it's like if you already have the genetic factor and you work towards and you work with your genetics, I mean, you're just gonna be the best at it. But it doesn't mean that you have to follow it. You know, like I didn't follow running. I was good at running when I was in the military. I ran all the time, you know. But like once I got out, I started doing bodybuilding. Do I have to work harder and longer? Yeah, you know. Those judges always tell, even with all this stuff, I still get feedback from judges. And guess what they tell me all the time? You need to bring up your legs. You need to bring up your calves, you know, because, you know, my calves are short. You know, they're not thick. Like a Caucasian person most likely have real big giant calves, yeah. But someone like myself, who's like ectomorph by nature, I have small calves and they're high, you know. So like it doesn't mean that I can't win. It doesn't mean that you know, I should just give up on my dreams and stuff like that. It's just I have to work harder. You know, I have to work harder in the gym. More than versus the person who's more genetically gifted towards the sport. You know, they don't have to work as hard. Not trying to say like no one, you know, nobody works hard, but I mean, you have to work a lot harder, you know, just to put on that mass. And then you have like a mesomorph, like I was saying, is like more of like that bodybuilder type. So they can put on muscle a lot easier. And then you have the endomorph, which is that wide frame. So this is like your like front linemen, you know, people who play football, like, and they're in the front defensive line or offensive line, like the big guys, like that's just how it is, you know.
Okay, that's good stuff. Neil, anything to add to that?
Yeah. So, you know, Eric mentioned something, you know, in regards to Black athletes. So if you look at football, for example, your skill positions. So your white cornerbacks, you know, one is Jason Sehorn is probably the last white cornerback we can think of, and that had to be almost 20 years ago. So, for example, the shiftiness needed, what you need in regards to your hips. I think also when you look at where we start when we're younger, the ones that are athletic, so Black athletes that are very athletic, are pushed into those skill type positions. I think I know there was someone who was trying to see about trying to destroy the myth that Black people were just naturally athletic and trying to train white people for skill positions like, you know, cornerback and wide receiver in football. It's something that's still working on. It's a work in progress. But I think there are certain things. It just kind of really depends on where you're from. You see those European athletes who are great soccer players. Well, that's kind of what they're around. And so they're just as fast as the people from the African nations, or, you know, they're just as successful against Black people from islands. So think it's just sometimes a matter of what you're used to being around. You have cricket players from your Middle Eastern areas or the islands who are equally as athletic in their sport. It might not necessarily require them to have a 40-inch vertical leap because they're not basketball players, but the agility and the quickness and things of that nature, it would be really good to see. I'd like to see, a soccer player from Europe as compared to a football player here, and you give them similar types of agility drills, and I would dare to bet that they're probably fairly equal. I think it's just a matter of, it's so much easier here to have access to play football and basketball and these types of sports. And so we see that as, producing these elite athletes, but Europe produces elite athletes in soccer as well. So I think it's that plays into it quite a bit, I think, from what I've seen.
No, absolutely. I would agree with that, and kind of digging in a little bit more what I'm hearing both of you say, and I want to touch on this a bit, is really is that amount of work, amount of effort that you put in on a consistent basis to help get you achieve your goals. And Korin, so first I'm going to say thank you for your service. I think it's important for a military person for us to kind of acknowledge the sacrifice and everything that you've done. To speak to us a bit, I think I've read that you were in the Marines. My nephew's in the Marines. He's a captain in the Marines right now. So I know it's a certain mindset to go in, the few, the proud, the brave, to go into that. So speak to us a little bit about your decision to go into the Marines and kind of maybe what you learned either in boot camp or throughout your time served that's really laid the foundation for your work ethic, how you approach coaching individuals, training, food, everything of that sort.
Yeah. So, what got me into the Marine Corps was it was a lot of things. I mean, I was 17 years old. The 9/11 thing just happened a year ago, and so like being in the military was like everyone wanted to do it. It was just a thing. And I was also when I was in high school, I was in the juniors ROTC. It was like the Navy ROTC. It's pretty much like Boy Scouts almost, but like more like military driven, but for high school students, you know what I'm saying? And I thought it was cool. And then knowing that my dad, he was in the Army for like 6 years and he always talked good things about it. And then my grandfather, he was in the Navy as well. He did a couple of years. So I do have a couple of family members that had military history. So I thought that was cool too. And then, I want to be honest, like video games and movies, that played a little role, and G.I. Joes growing up, all that stuff like kind of played a significant role in that. But, when it came down to it and it was time to sign up to join which branch I wanted to do, I talked to different recruiters. The first people I talked to was the Marines, because I was just like, their uniforms, super cool and badass. And I was like, yo, these guys look crazy cool, and it looks tough. Even the posters look cooler, And I was just like, yo, everything looks cool about Marines. And then I talked to other branches, and truthfully, this is what I experienced. Like the recruiters were pretty much just talking crap about the Marines. Like every time I brought them up, they're like, they're jarheads, they're stupid, you're going to be a robot. Like every other branch would say that. Even when I went to the Coast Guard, like there was just no one there. Like, so I was like, oh, well, I'm not going there because no one's even in this office. So I went back to the Marines, and then they're like, what made you decide to do this? And I was just like, because everyone's talking crap about y'all, talking about robots and jarheads and stupid. So I'm like, it must be because they just hate you because you're the best. And they're like, that's right. Yeah. And then they're like, let's sign you up. So I got signed up. And then when it came down to boot camp and stuff like that, boot camp, even though I had like a year and a half being in ROTC, and they it's like a, introduction to military, it was still a shell shock because I didn't expect it to be that crazy. Right. So it's like, it was just 9-day difference. It was just like people yelling in your face all the time. To make a long story short, is more psychological than physical. It's more psychological and physical. So, mean, even if you're out of shape, you don't have to worry about it because you're going to starve and they're going to work your butt off. So you're going to lose a lot of pounds anyway. And with the stress, you're just going to drop weight automatically.
Were you vegan then?
No, I wasn't vegan. I went vegan after once I finished the Marine Corps, because when I was in the Marines, I did I deployed to Operation Iraqi Freedom 3 and 4. So I did serve some time in war. And then after that, I got out and then joined the United States Navy Reserves and did that for another 4 years. But while I was in the reserves, that's when I went vegan. Yeah. So once I went vegan, that was the thing that kind of, separated me from the military, because it was too conflicting, because I started off in the military at 17. And my mind was really about like violence, killing. Like I was just like a mercenary. Like I was ready for action anytime. Yeah. Just more colder, like a lot of things. And once I started changing my food up and just started looking at life a little bit different when it comes to living beings and stuff like that, it just changed my heart in a different way. And I didn't want to be in such a violent job. I mean, not trying to say like the whole military is violent. It's just that I was in a combat unit for 8 years. So it's like when you're in a combat unit and it's all about like deploying and finding combat, it's just like, yeah, it gets kind of old and it's just really conflicting. I mean, could I just switch my jobs into something more laid back, like be an admin clerk or something like that? I mean, yeah, I could. But I didn't join the military to do a normal job. I joined it for action. I wanted to shoot guns,
to be a soldier.
Up, I wanted to do I wanted to be an action guy. Like I just love that type of stuff.
But that's crazy interesting what you just said. I mean, you talked about like when you transitioned, that it seemed as if you had this awakening in your mind that kind of shifted your whole perspective on things. Can you tease that out a little bit more?
Yeah. So like, I think like I was more of a thrill seeker and stuff like that. But what pretty much happened was I was in college, because when I was in the reserves is like part-time military. So you're not there all the time. And so there was a lot of things going on. I mean, first I'm getting more influence being a normal, we call it civilians, so living in the civilian world, because it's so segregated. We even call regular people civilian. When you're outside the military base, this is the civilian world, because it's two different worlds. It's like when you're in the military, they have their own police, their own judge system, their own medical system, their own laws, rules, like everything's completely different. And then once you leave that base, you're here. You have real freedom. So being in the reserves, spending more time, with my friends, old friends, and stuff like that, that was part of it. But then also going to school, trying to improve myself, because it was the first time that I was like, I need to do something for myself. Like I'm doing everything for the military, but I haven't really done anything as a backup plan for myself, so that's when I started going to school. And then Gary Urofsky, a vegan activist, came into my classroom. I was doing a public speaking class, and then he talked about veganism. And I never heard about vegans. I heard the term before, but I never paid attention to it. There was no vegans in the military, maybe a vegetarian, but it's usually like a female or something like that, and no one never questioned it. It's like, oh yeah, she's a female. Maybe that's why, most girls don't like a lot of meat, like we just create these, fallacies and stuff like that, but when he talked about the animals and the ethics, medical health reasons, all that stuff, I just never heard that in my life. And when I saw how the animals were being treated, that was the big thing that transitioned me, because how I looked at those animals and seeing how the animals were about to die, like the facial expressions and the eyes, like everything, it was very similar to a lot of things I've seen in war when other people were about to die. So it was the same. And that to me, that's that's what changed my mind. I was just like, it just gave me chills down my spine. And I was just like, man, I never seen these animals getting treated this way. And they're getting treated unfairly. And this is all of this is just for meat. So we can eat for food and stuff. I mean, and just like we all created fallacies. I had a fallacy, like, you know, it sounds childish now, but in my mind, I thought like these animals were living on, you know, pastures, and, you know, when they get old, like they kill them and slaughter, like just natural way of raising, you know. I thought that it was probably just a big thing like that. But when I saw it was more industrial, and it was more like, you know, they're treating these animals like it's a toy, like you're making a toy or something like that. You know, it's just like you make them, you kill them, whatever. You know, baby chickens, if you're a male, you're in the grinder. I was like, what? Like all this is happening? This is like a living hell, you know?
Yeah, you know that, and that's the thing that through a lot of our research and with our platform, and I know Eric's done even more research with this, and guests like Sally had brought it up, is that relationship between the suffering for animals and the way in which really people of African descent have been traumatized throughout the centuries. Yeah, you know, and there's a distinct parallel, an analogy that I never quite made that connection early on. Inside of it, I approach things more of a health aspect, but making that perspective in terms of that parallel, like that was very troubling as I looked at that.
And let me jump in. One of the things that we talk about when we do the Slave Food Talk is the Maranatha prison in Victorville, California, where the state of California actually allowed one branch of the inmates to be on a whole food, plant-based vegan diet, and get some other spiritual instruction and stuff. And the other half of that prison, they were on the typical Department of Corrections food, which is obviously heavy in meat and processed foods. What they found is that the side where they ate a whole food plant-based diet, they had no race wars. The people all got along. The violence was much lower. And the recidivism rate basically was like 2%. So, I mean, so 98% of the people stayed out. We always joke that the state of California shut the prison down, probably because it was doing too good a job. They need the inmates because somebody's making money. But I think what's profound about what you said, Korin, is that, you know, you were enlightened. And what I think makes it even deeper is that you were a soldier. You were a soldier who could recognize suffering in the animals. And I want to say that once you go plant-based, I think it changes even the way that you look at how every and anyone is treated. And I think that's why those inmates actually, even though they didn't do it for any ethical reason, I think it actually impacted the way that they behaved and quelled the violence in that prison. Because when those animals are dying, they are releasing all of their stress hormones into their bloodstream. So when you eat those animals, you're getting their stress hormones, which may honestly change the way you react to the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's one of the key things. That's huge. I mean, so you made this transition. How has being vegan affected your bodybuilding?
Well, with bodybuilding, I'm doing great, obviously. Right. So it's like, but I mean, with the whole bodybuilding, I started that once I left the military, because once I left, you know, I was like, that's when I started moving more towards health and wellness, you know, and wanted to be a trainer, and decided to go into exercise science and stuff like that, just because when I was in school in the beginning, I was doing criminal justice, but to tell you the truth, I just picked it because I was like, hey, it's like, I just want to work for the government and, you know, do some type of uniform job, you know, something similar that I was already doing, I was already good at. But once I realized that the whole thing with the vegan stuff and with the health and animals, I was like, you know what, let's go towards health and wellness, you know, like, let's see what's this is all about, because I just felt like all the information that was given about health and wellness was a lie, you know? Yeah. I really wanted to dig a little bit deeper into that. And once I started doing that, I started doing bodybuilding because I wanted to I wanted to prove something, you know, because I was, once I went vegan, then people were like, you can't build muscle. And I was like, you can't? Like, and I was just like, well, I feel great. And and then, it was 1 year. I was vegan for 1 year. And then I had a friend that actually came up to me and he said, like, yo, you should do bodybuilding, bro. And I was like, I'm not no bodybuilder, dude. I'm just fit. I'm vegan. And like, I just want to do like training things, like that's it. I wasn't thinking like very broad. And he was like, bro, like you don't have to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger and all these guys. Like there's different circuits and different levels, and you can start off like at a lower level and then work your way up throughout the years. So he showed me some pictures and he's like, yo, he's like, yo, my friend does bodybuilding. Look at him. And he won and he looked like crap. So he's like, so he's like, if he could do it, you could definitely do it, bro. Like, shoot, you got 6-pack, you're ripped, you're healthy. So I got into it, and once I started, the first show I won like second place, and then after that, from one show to the next show to the next show, I was just getting better and better at it. I continued to put on more muscle mass. And I always, when I did the sport, what I saw too was a lot of people, when they diet, they weren't doing it in a healthier way. They were just doing it just to get like lean and cut. But now like, since I've been doing bodybuilding for 7 years and been vegan for 9 years, this is something that I always preach about. I'm like, when you do the sport of bodybuilding, there's a way you can do it in a healthier way. And what a lot of people do is, you might look good from the outside, but from the inside, it could be horrible. It could be really damaging. And if you look at the longevity of most bodybuilders, especially ones that consume animal-based products, byproducts, you have guys dropping at the age of mid-30s, 50s, 60s, like very short. Like they're not living long, their lifespan is very short. And this is all because of, the illegal substances and the drugs and also the high intake of animal-based products, because if you see the normal bodybuilding diet is mostly just turkey, ground turkey, which is like filled with fat and stuff like that, right? Chicken, sometimes steak, but not a lot. And then just tilapia, which is farm raised with parasites and a whole bunch of crap, you're eating fish that eats its own poop, what I'm saying? Like that's disgusting, right? So you're eating these things, and this is what they're mostly eating. And then and then the vegetable is broccoli, which has some vitamin A and vitamin C, but it's not like the king of vegetables. Like it doesn't have like tons of nutrients, not like kale. Not like collards, not like spinach, like there's other vegetables out there that could triumph broccoli like hardcore. But that's all you see is like chicken and broccoli.
And what about all of the shakes? I noticed, I started buying vegan shakes, and I'm noticing that the whey protein, there's a lot of animal protein, even in a lot of the protein shakes that a lot of these guys are taking as well.
Yeah, the protein's even worse because when it comes to whey, is from dairy. And the thing about supplement companies, first, it's not ran by the FDA. A lot, and the thing is, in the bodybuilding world, no one does no research. It's just like, I just want to be jack and big and win trophies. That's the only mindset. They don't think about long term. They don't think about what they're doing consistently. What they're putting into their body. But when it comes to the whey protein, and you go and you trace back where they're getting the milk from. This is like it's literally like the lowest quality ever, because it's a company, it's still a business. So, and they want to make money without spending a lot of costs on material. So they'll buy the lowest quality of raw materials to put into that whey protein, and then they cut it, with fillers, chemicals, artificial flavors, and then people are slamming it like it's cool. And if you go to like trade shows and stuff, the biggest companies that has the biggest booths are probably the ones with the biggest lie. because they push out the whey protein, and then they over sexualize the women to be like, oh, drink this, or over, juiced out, steroid out bodybuilder, like, drink this, yeah. And you're like, okay, yeah, like, if I could be like you, okay. And it's just like, like, what do you don't even know what you're doing. And people are just literally poisoning their body. Again, you might look good from the outside, but in the inside, you're destroying yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me jump in, Thomas, real quick and ask another question on kind of piggybacking on that. So how do you approach people when you're trying to train them? I mean, we talked a bit about your military background. I think the fact that you're a plant-based bodybuilder and as successful as you are, and I saw the pictures, you look amazing. How do you inspire and pull people in? And then, Neil, you can tag on after. What is your approach to trying to get folk to be healthy on the inside and on the outside?
Yeah, because I'm gonna tell you this, right? So we've been doing this a long time, Eric and I, because I was literally about to ask you that same question, only framed with the context of someone who asked me to ask you this question. They were just like, they're a middle-aged woman, kids, overweight, about 40, 50 pounds, have some back problems, and they want to look like the local IG model. And they have no equipment at home. What do you do? How do you get them going? That's the question.
Well, I mean, since I do online training, that's where Instagram comes in. Like I just bombard people with tons of information, tips, just trying to inspire people through that, through knowledge, through information. Because if we think back when we were like in, elementary, middle school, high school, and we took our health classes, we probably all noticed that it was all pretty much the same. Yeah. There was no upgraded knowledge in the information. This is why everyone doesn't know what to do when it comes to health and wellness, because it was all the same stuff. It was either you learned the pie chart, the pyramid, or the little square. I don't even know what they're called anymore. But like, you know what I'm talking about though, right? Like the food pyramid and stuff like that. So it's like that's all we learned. And then they show you some BS like anatomy chart and start talking about like your chest and arm, and it's like, yo, I'm supposed to be learning nutrition, not about my body. I know where my head is. Like, it's like I know what the skull is. It's right here. I got one. So it's like just it was just silly. So when it comes to inspiration, I just tell people that you have to re-educate yourself and reconnect the relationship to foods, because majority of the American diet is processed foods. It's not even just meat. It's mostly just processed junk food. That's all it is. Things that's very convenient, easy to get. And that's it. Like everyone thinks like if you go to Burger King, you're getting your protein from the meat in the burger. Like that's how they'll break it down. Because I used to think like that. Yeah, there's protein in the McDonald's burger. Because there's meat. It says 100% Angus beef. It's 100%. It's not really 100%. And if it is, it's filled with sodium, filled with fat. The bread's probably highly processed with a whole bunch of chemicals and stuff like that in it as well. The lettuce, the tomatoes is low quality. So people don't really know that, but people will break food down in that way, in that fashion. Like, oh, well, I'm getting my vegetables from the lettuce and the tomatoes, and bread is just bread, right? And they don't understand the process. So what I try to do is really show people that, like, this isn't the way to eat, and you have to change your relationship to real food, like being mostly on a whole foods plant-based diet. And then I try to show people what I do, and the whole bodybuilding thing is really just a front. Because for me, I like it as a sport. It's just something that I like to do versus going out and partying. Like I'm in Miami, like there's clubs everywhere. The night, it's like we're known for the nightlife. You know what I'm saying? I used to be indulged in it, like hardcore. But I needed an outlet to not do these things so I can improve my lifestyle as well. So like I use the bodybuilding as an outlet, because I'm like, then spending money at the bar, you know, and destroying my body. Cause I will always go to the gym, but then on the weekend, I would just destroy myself. You know, why not spend all this money just improving my health and doing something that could also help inspire others, you know? So that's why I do that. But then also it shows people that, look, like, because I eat healthy, because I eat mostly a whole foods, plant-based diet, I can be an elite athlete, you know? So I don't, and also another thing too, is because I'm Black, you know, I mean, I don't know what y'all think, but I always feel that that's like a strike against me, because automatically people think I'm stupid. Yeah. So what I use the bodybuilding. So it's like, hey, I got the body, right? Then I went to school. So I got the brains, yeah. And then I have my own business where I show just tons of results. So people know I'm qualified and I know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Because I feel like I always have to be 10 times harder than the other person, you know, or the white guy, you know, like seriously, like, I'm just going to be honest. Like, that's how I feel, because I see it online. Yeah. I see people who's not qualified. I see people who they don't even have a degree in exercise science and physiology. There's some programs, they have 1 million followers. Everyone wants to buy their shit. But then with me, I have to do all of this just to get close. You know what I mean? So this is why I do everything that I do. And when people come to me, they're like, they already worked with these other guys, you know, all these other jokers. And they're like, and when they finally get to me, they're like, man, like, you're for real. Like, you're real. Like, you're here for results. And I'm like, yeah, I'm here for results. I'm here to educate and teach and teach you an actual lifestyle change, not just to give you a program so you can get results. It's more for a lifestyle. So that's what I aim for the most. And when people listen and they pay attention to me, they see that, no, this guy's for the long term. Like, he's not just for the quick buck. He's not here just to sell me something. He's not here just to give me a plan so I can be in shape just for a temporary period. He's here to really educate me, give me a better relationship with the foods, and also like help me get to my results as well in the fastest way possible. So, I mean, that's how I do it. And that's the feedback I always get from others, you know?
Love that. Love that. Love it.
Yeah, that's
awesome. Powerful. It is. Neil, I'm gonna let you chime in. We've been keeping you in the corner there. So chime in a little bit.
So I start off with letting them know my focus is quality of life. So similar to what Korin said, is I want your quality of life to be there. If you get the beach muscles, you know, that's great. If you can fit into the little black dress, that's great. But most importantly, I'm talking about that. So the example that you gave, that person, most likely I started talking about metabolic syndrome. So after I've done a health history questionnaire, hey, if you know, cholesterol's high, well, yes. Do you have high blood pressure? Yes. All right. We've, done measurements and see you're a female with a waist of 35 inches or more. Now we start talking about metabolic syndrome and what that means in regards to chronic illness. So I do some adjunct teaching work at Northern Virginia Community College. So I take a lot of what I've weaned from, gotten from that and from my exercise science degree. And also bring that information to say, okay, let's talk about what we can do for your quality of life. I understand the motivation may be, hey, I just got dumped by my boyfriend and he said this about me and I want revenge. Understood, but let's start talking about other types of motivation. Do you have grandchildren or children? How can you be healthier? Or if you're someone nearing retirement age, all right, we want to make sure that your quality of life in retirement is there. So I'm going to make sure, again, that we talk about the concerns that I might have. So BMI, we hear people say all the time, oh, BMI that doesn't really, they don't consider the curves of a Black woman or a curvier person. Say, okay, understood. Your BMI might be over 30 and the scale may say this. However, the high blood pressure, the high cholesterol, the 35-inch or higher waist lets me know we have some problems here. If we don't do some things, you're 40% more likely to have different chronic illnesses and diseases. So we start looking at that, and then we start talking about, all right, we have these goals. We've talked about that. Let's see what we can do to substitute some of these things. All right, you drink 4 or 5 sodas a day. Okay, we'd like for you to go from 5 to 0, but it may mean that, okay, after you drink a Coke, I need you to drink a bottle of water first before you go on to, I'd like for you to not drink it, but let's look at some things that we can do to change some of these habits that you have. Let's talk about your diet and what it is that you eat. And hey, do you like this? I know you like fried foods, but can you try to bake this? Or how can you be more creative in what you eat to maybe try to go away from some of these foods that you know you shouldn't be eating, or preparing them the way you shouldn't prepare them, those types of things. So I try a lot to deal with what is your lifestyle, what choices have you been making? How can we make different choices? Because I can give you the prescription for the exercise and do all those things. If you sabotage it by making poor choices, you're not dealing with the stress in your life, you're not getting enough sleep, you're eating poorly, then unfortunately you're not going to get the results that you want. So I tend to look at it from a holistic approach. Let's deal with all of these different things. What has been successful for you? What has failed for you? What is it that's causing stress? If things are stress related, are you sitting there and eating at work because you're sitting all the time? You're stressed out. How can we make these changes? So I like to focus on those types of things. It's not just simply, hey, I'm going to make you look good and you're going to be a size 4, or you'll be the IG model, or you'll get the big muscles. I focus on quality of life. And I think once we start there, then all of the other benefits that come from exercising regularly and strength training and doing the cardio or the yoga or whatever it is, then you'll see the benefits that come physically. All of those will come in time. So, to answer your question, that's kind of my approach toward it. I look at it from a holistic approach.
Good stuff.
Hey guys, it's question and answer time. Hey Neil, you guys, Neil's my brother from Atlanta. He's my brother from another mother. It's nice to meet you, Korin. So quick question for you guys today. What are some of the challenges that you see in changing the mindset of your clients long-term? And so Korin, we'll start with you and then we'll move to Neil.
Some of the challenges when it comes to changing the mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Let me see. Well, the thing with me, I'm from the I have a military background.
So you're yelling at us. Is that what you're telling me?
So yeah. Because I want to be honest, I have these, I don't do it on Instagram, you know. Mm-hmm. I do it in my private Facebook group. It's private for a reason, right? Yeah. So when it comes to certain students, I mean, I just dig into them. Mm-hmm. Because, for me, it's just how I was brought up, Okay. It's I wasn't dealt a good hand of cards in life, and so have not a lot of people, right? Mm-hmm. But I didn't sit there and just became a victim and complain and cry about things,
Mm-hmm.
So I had to so when it comes to that roadblock, I just tell them the truth. I'm like, yo, look, you came here for a reason,
Mm-hmm.
And it's it's like tough love type
Mm-hmm.
of stuff, because even in the military, when they're yelling, cursing, I mean, it's worse in the military, obviously. I mean, I'm not going ballistic.
You're not going that hard in the
No, I'm not going crazy, using curse words and making them feel this small. I'm not doing nothing like that.
Okay.
But I'm just bringing the reality.
Okay.
I'm giving them that reality check. I'm like, look, I have you follow this meal plan for a particular reason, because it's not really the workouts. Everyone
Right.
can do the workouts.
Right.
I really don't have any issue on that. It's mostly just the food because that plays the biggest part. And people have a lot of emotional ties and addiction to certain types.
Right.
So for me, I'm there to break it. And I'm just look, I know it's hard. I know sometimes, you're hungry and you're starving, and because you're used to eating particular types of foods, and now we're having you in a caloric deficit.
Right.
No, say it like you were saying, like you would say it on that Facebook Live.
No, that's okay. No, we're good. No. People are tired. We've been working. We need a little soft love today. No soft love.
But I just tell them the truth. I'm like, look, because the ones that have these issues, right? They usually have other problems going on. Right.
So it's not just physical.
Yeah, it's just not, I just have 20 pounds to lose, you know?
Right.
But because usually it's like, if it's just that and they just don't listen to me, then they just don't want it. Like it's only so much I can do. Right. But when it's someone that has like heart disease, high cholesterol, diabetes, like I really get into those guys because I'm like, you don't have time
to figure it out. Right.
You
or
don't
not
have time.
Figure it out. Right.
Your time expired. Yeah. And if the doctors are already telling you like you have high cholesterol, it's already too late. Right. Now we're only looking at the time to see when you drop. That's it.
Right.
That's all we're waiting for.
It's now or never.
Yeah. And
so
I'm like,
Neil,
it's happening just like that.
So how do you change the mindset, Neil, for you?
In addition to what he does, I definitely talk about sense of urgency. That is something I do as well. I wasn't in the military, so it might be a little gentler. It may be done with a smile, but essentially, I'm most likely saying the same thing that Korin said. You know, might not be as colorful, but definitely, I talk about that. Talk about culture, because that's something, you know, when you're training, you know, Black clients, for example, who, well, this is a culture. What do you mean I can't eat this, or I can't drink that? I like sweet tea and I like to drink that, or whatever the case is. Well, it's killing you. You can't do it anymore. So you came to me because you said you needed help. Let's talk about, we need to make some changes. There's some things are going to have to change. So we definitely believe in a heart-to-heart talk.
So both of you guys tackle the diet and the exercise at the same time, or do you do one first and then the other?
So Korin, you want to go first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So it's both. It's usually both. Yeah.
Okay. And Neil?
And same things. Yeah. So when doing a health history questionnaire, you're finding out all this information. Well, you know, what do you eat? All right. Which, if you're a smoker, we're talking about that. Whatever bad habits, if they bring up something about stress, we're talking about that. So you definitely have to wear many hats. Of course, start with the scientific approach to health and exercise, but there also may be, all right, your boss is giving you problems at work. Well, what is it? Because you're missing deadlines, or, you know, my boss won't leave me, is always getting on me. Well, let's first look at you. Let's see if there's anything with you. It may just be that, all right, are you coming to work on time? Are you, do you have good time management? So we're trying to find different solutions to these problems, because many of those things will lead to them overeating or eating improperly. You know, I talk to them all the time, and I say, you know, the drug dealer, if the drug addict has pain, he deals with it, or he or she deals with it through drugs. The alcoholic deals with their pain. For you, it might be eating. You eat the bag of, you eating those bags of chips because you're stressed out. Mm-hmm. You're not going to smoke the cigarette. You're not going to drink. You're not going to do that. But it's having the same effect on your body. You're breaking your body down because you're dealing with your stress by doing this. So yes. I definitely believe in focusing on choices, and it's just as important as the science behind the exercise they do, the food they eat. What choices are you making that are affecting the way you live or affecting your quality of life?
So do you guys both subscribe to it's 80% diet and 20% exercise, or would you change those percentages?
Yeah, it's 80 for me. It's 80% diet, because you can't outwork a bad diet, and that's something that, I try to make a lot of my students realize that, especially like when it comes to in-person training, because I used to do in-person training as well and work for big box gyms. and this is what even the fitness industry does as well. A lot of these trainers that's out there that might be cheaper, you know, sometimes you can even go to a top-notch gym and pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for trainers, but they're not giving out no diet plans. So, and Neil, you probably noticed this too. You know, you go to the gym, you see tons of people working with these trainers and they have zero results. Going to the gym for a whole year, you know, you don't see any results. Yeah. And I'm like, what are you paying for a best friend?
Right. Somebody to talk to.
You know, like, this is ridiculous. And that's why I went and did my own thing, because I work for many gyms and I would still try to give meal plans. And sometimes people would tell me, like, it's not necessary for you to do it. You're not qualified. And even when someone told me that, I'm like, I'm not qualified. I'm like, what am I here to do then? Yeah. Am I here to change lives, or just in the military we call it, or just perform a dog and pony show? What are we here for? Dog and pony show?
We call it like that in the civilian world too. We call it dog and pony too.
Yeah.
And so Neil, for you, is it 80-20?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
I'm always talking about food and what we eat and that type of thing. And so, you know, it's so important. And as he said, you cannot outwork a bad diet.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
It's,
You know,
oh, go on.
no, I was gonna say, yeah, that's. I mean, I love you all's approach. I mean, it warms my heart, the fact that you guys are kind of like hitting people up with lifestyle. I mean, I'm gonna tell you, I still want that Adonis, that men's fitness body. I've still been searching for that for 25 years, so I'm still looking. I'm on the prowl for it. But here's the thing. I heard you, Korin, kind of talk about your mom and diabetes and really applying that tough love with her. You know, and I wanted you to touch on that because it just came to my attention that Biz Markie, I don't know if any of y'all are rap fans from back in the day, just passed away from diabetes. You know, and the impact, diabetes is a treatable, reversible, preventable disease, does not have to exist in majority of instances. And it's something that just simply walking 10 minutes after you eat can lower your blood sugar levels, can help normalize that. Your food quality, the animal products, they all play a role in development of diabetes. And so, you know, I wanted to acknowledge kind of like just that, because diabetes is close and personal to me as far as impacting my family. And so whenever I hear about an unnecessary death like that, it's something I always want to bring up. And that literally just came across my text messages right now about him. And so just speak to that briefly if you can. Yeah.
So what happened was, first, my dad died from a heart attack last year. You know,
so sorry.
So like, you know, which was all health related. You know, it could have been reversed. And the thing between my mom and dad, they were always like critique each other about health, and they're both out of shape and not healthy. And I'm like, and then when he died, you know, my mom came to me and said, like, you know, like, I always try and tell him he shouldn't drink and shouldn't eat the steak and the chicken. He should cut back. And when I was hearing that, it was just getting, my head was about to explode, because I'm like, do any of y'all know what I do? Like, you know, like, I was like, what? You know? So I had to, you know, like, it was 10 times. Now the tough love for her was 10. It was like Marine. Yeah. It was Marine. Like, because there's no whole bars with my mom and family, you know what I'm saying? Right. Like, I mean, I could do, you know, so I went Marine Corps on her, and I was just cursing everything. And I told her the truth. I mean, I said some cold stuff. Like, when you're in Marines, you say some cold things. Yeah. And literally I told her, like, if you die, I'm not going to care. Yeah. Because it's definitely, this is what I do. It's predetermined, you know? So it's not going to be surprise. I mean, I've been trying to help you for so long, and you just fail to listen. Right. And I was like, and what's going to happen? You're going to be in a box just like him. Yeah. And I was like, unless you change. And I was like, and you're not realizing this because the doctors are telling you, but it's just because you don't feel nothing yet. Yeah. And I was like, and I'm trying to tell you, this is how he died. Like, he died like literally 2 days after his birthday.
Mm.
Yeah. So I'm like, he probably didn't feel anything either, because they were telling him tons of stuff. They were like, you have gout, you have cirrhosis in the liver, you have high cholesterol, but he was feeling fine.
Right. Or was he? He was just used to feeling the way he was feeling, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then next thing you know, from the reports from him, he went to, someone was knocking on the door. He went to get the door from what they told me. And they just heard a big drop on the ground. And then they were like knocking, because they just heard this big drop. Mm-hmm. And then they finally was able to get the door open, and they just saw him dead. Yeah. Wow. So I was like, and this is how it works. I was like trying to tell her, like, this is how it happens. And I was like, not everyone has second chances with heart attacks. Yeah.
Correct.
So I'm like, they're lucky if they survive. So when you hear patients like, oh, they went through double bypass, triple bypass, like, this is all luck. Like, geez Louise, you're just a machine, like, but it doesn't mean it happens to everyone.
Right. And it's gonna wear out, eventually.
Yeah. So when it came to the diabetes, I told her, like, this is a horrible death. I was like, I don't think you realize it's not just a shot in your arm and checking your blood sugars. I was like, that's just a fraction of it. I was like, the more it develops, you can get blind. They have to start chopping off limbs. Right. And I was like, and literally, I'm like, there's people who has no arms and no legs, and they're blind,
and they're still here.
And they're still here.
Right.
They're literally
it's guerrilla warfare. Yeah. It's what it is. It's picking on pieces of your body moment by moment until you finally succumb to it.
Yeah. Correct. Yes. I've had some of the same issues in my family. And we're talking about people who, for the most part, were not drinkers or smokers, but but again, poor choices.
Eaters, right?
Exercise, too many salty foods, too much sugar, that type of thing. And diabetes definitely I have a family history of it as well. And I would try to tell my mother, come on, let's go for a walk, or let's do this, or whatever the case is, and falling on deaf ears. And it's something that, my passion being health and fitness and trying to get people to be healthier, too often we don't realize that the time is short, and how our quality of life can be phenomenal. It's crazy to think that you stress yourself out, paying for your kids to go to school, you work all of these hours, retire at 65, and by 70 you're gone, and you had to take how many pills a day, or you had that poor quality of life to retire and work all that time, retire, and then just like
not even enjoy it, not even be able to enjoy it.
To see that, and like you said, Dr. Patisse, it doesn't have to be like that. And it's something where just simple choices that could be made, just one or two simple choices could really just turn around our health and bring us to optimal wellness. But because of whether it's culture or fear, or, well, I don't want to be ostracized for doing this, or whatever the case is, we don't make those choices, and we think we have the time. And it's just so unfortunate to see that happen.
And the good thing is that, you guys are out here now just, talking and reaching different people, different audiences. It feels like you're kind of like a prophet in your own home. Like no one wants to listen to you. There are other people who will pay to listen to you, but yet the people that you're really trying to impact the most aren't willing to listen, right? So, that does become a bit of a guilt kind of complex, that you're like, I could save these people, but they don't want to be saved, and they don't want to hear it from me. So, you just have to keep getting that message out there until, either they hear it. So the question for you, Korin, is did your mother listen, and are things different for her?
Well, once I literally, like I said, I went boot camp. So I literally went to her house and did a whole kitchen makeover without her permission.
Okay.
I went inside her fridge, trash bag. And she's like, "Are you donating that stuff?" I was like, "Why would I donate garbage to people so they can be like you. I was like, I'm like, I don't donate food to people that's going to get sicker. So if I'm going to donate food, it's going to be organic whole food products. That's it. Yeah, I'm not going to give them this crap because their life is already bad enough. The last thing I want to make it worse. Yeah. So I'm like, this is going in the trash where it belongs.
Okay.
And then it was just, very structured. I told her, like, you're going to be on this meal plan. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. That's it. It's a wrap. I was like, if you don't do it, that's it. I was like, whatever happens is going to happen because I know I tried, and that's it. Yeah, I went super serious. She was crying again. She was calling family members. Oh yeah, and they were just like, they're like, he's a trainer. Like, what do you expect? They're like, he's just doing it because he loves you, man. Like, at least he could have just did nothing. He's like, yeah. So, but now she's falling and she feels better. She lost a lot of weight. There's a lot of good news. The doctors are saying that, if she continues, they can start taking her off the medication slowly.
That's great.
Like
that's a blessing.
So
yes.
her levels and everything going down like dramatically. So it's a lot of good stuff. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And Neil, I know
I'm going hard in the paint from now on, Korin, after you. All right? I'm going hard in the paint. Every patient, every time, hard in the paint, buddy.
The bedside man is about to change, huh?
I'm saying, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, Danette, you were saying?
Well, I know you've suffered some losses in your life as a result of health issues. And so, how does that affect how you deal with some of your clients? Are you coming from that source? Like, I couldn't save them, but can I save someone else?
Yes. So definitely, I always talk personally about, I lost my mother there. My father passed from a stroke. My mother passed from a heart attack, and talk about, this is a woman that didn't drink. This is a woman that didn't smoke, but she didn't exercise. She liked to take a lot of, sweet food. She used too much sugar and baking, and there was salt this and then these types of things, and that begins to accumulate. So, matter of fact, I was speaking to someone today who said that they were upset because their child is getting on them. It was funny, Korin, she said this because she has blood pressure medication, and her child is not, she's not taking care of it. She's upset at what her child is doing. And all of my friends, there are about 20 friends who have non-compliant parents. These parents don't want to listen. If there's medication they're supposed to take, they're not doing it. The doctor tells them to exercise, they're not exercising. They're not doing these things. And I told her, well, it's out of love. She says, well, I came in doing this. This is what I like to do. I said, I understand, but it's killing you. I told her that a very frank discussion. Yes, that's what you like to do, but it's killing you. So I said, if you enjoy, for example, eating your Sunday dinner and you love soul food and how, the cobblers and those types of things and fried chicken or smothered, whatever, and it's killing you, whether you enjoy it or not, now someone else is having to suffer as a result of your choices.
Right. The loss and the grief. Right. Exactly.
Your grandchild who wants you to be around is not going to have you around. Your daughter, won't have you around. And I told her, I understand that you like doing these things, but it's killing you. So if you want, what kind of quality of life do you want? Same thing. She just retired. It's for a few years. And I said, now, and you're taking all this medication and you're doing all of these things, you need to make some changes or you're going to go soon. And it's not something I want to have happen. My class, but we went to a small high school, Korin. I think I had 33 in my class. Mm-hmm. Before the age of 50, 8 of them had passed away. And one more just passed from COVID. So 9 out of 33, and all health-related reasons. No, it's all, whether it was a heart attack, or lupus, or something with breathing issues, or whatever the case is. They're all of them passed through some sort of health issue. So for me, it's very personal. Too many of my friends, too much of my, too many people in my family have passed, and it wasn't necessary. So it's something that is very personal to me. So, and I'm very passionate about it. Korin, I see it in you as well. So, I'm hoping we can connect, once.
Definitely.
And it's that passion that's going to make a difference. Okay. Thank you.
All right. No, it's good. Great conversation. We can go. I feel like if we're just kind of sitting around a barbershop, or a healthy dinner table,
okay.
having a good conversation. You come on now.
I can come in the barbershop. My son won't let me.
It's all right. Okay. Yeah. but let's leave the folks. What I'm going to ask of each of you is, Korin and Neil, just leave the folks out there who are listening, who are hungry for a change. You've given them great pearls already, but give them one additional tip, something that just lingers behind, even if it's how to reach you, right? How they can connect with you, and maybe you can be their online coach for either of you, depending upon their style. Maybe some are like the military, maybe some like a little bit easier, whichever way. Now you got two choices here today.
You can get with this or you can get with that, right? Okay.
That's right.
So, right, cool. With me, you can, if you want to learn more on how I can help you, you can, or just any type of free information, you can find me on Instagram, because I leave tons of free content, and it's good stuff, like talking about like veganism, animal ethics, why you need to be on a whole foods plant-based diet, the benefits, building muscle hacks, fat loss hacks, like tons of stuff. Even every week I go, because I just started to do this about a month ago. So I have live private classes every week. Okay. And what I started to do is bring it into Instagram and go live while I'm doing these classes, so you can listen in. So the only disadvantage is that, obviously, I'm going to be honest, you're not a paid client, so you can't see the slides, the actual presentation, but you can listen in, hear. And then if you have questions, you can ask, So I keep that there, because I feel that the information that I'm providing for the students should be known for a live audience as well, because it's just information, you know what I'm saying? And it's good topics that we talk about. We really go in depth with a lot of different things, like heart disease, cancers, diabetes, erectile dysfunction. Like, we really go into a lot of different topics around health and wellness. So it's not just me, because what I noticed in the fitness industry is just like a lot of guys are just flexing, showing muscles, and selling supplements, right? That's it. But no one's really there, really trying to educate people and why different types of foods can play a significant role when it comes to your health and wellness. Yeah. So I try to cover a lot of different topics, because you don't know who's suffering with what. Yeah. Right. Because when I'm doing some of these classes, like even with erectile dysfunction, like there's a lot of males that has problems, but you don't really hear nothing about it. But then if you kind of connect the dots, what do you see on commercials every single day? Erectile dysfunction pills.
Right.
Yeah. But they're not talking about why people have it. And this is all food correlated.
Right. Yeah. Well, we're just glad that you're vegan and you're not using those swords on the wall on your clients. So that's very helpful.
Korin,
so for Neil?
Yes. So Korin, I have to say we are kindred spirits. This education is very important to me. I do a Wellness Wednesday segment. It's on Instagram. It's on Facebook, YouTube. And I deal with various dimensions of wellness. So just last week, I dealt with eye vision. I'll deal with emotional wellness, physical wellness, environmental, how stress plays a role in certain things. So I do one of those segments every Wednesday, a Wellness Wednesday segment, as I said, on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and it's under the name Neil Davis Fitness. So you can see me there. And, if you're interested in some online training or some personal training, just recently relocated to the Columbus, Ohio area. So, I'll be available there as well. But hopefully we can connect, because I'm trying to save as many people or help people make better choices one person at a time. So whatever it is that I can do, the choices you make dictate the life that you lead. So all about making as many positive choices as possible so you can enjoy your quality of life.
Thank you.
Love it. Love it. Absolutely. All right. It's been a great conversation. I'm going to leave last little word here and wrap things up. I just want to encourage you. These gentlemen right here are the real deal, right? They're going to give it to you. I mean, they've laid down some facts on how to really transform your lives in a practical, tangible way. And we need to go ahead and check them out. We need to support them. And for those of you who maybe haven't reached your fitness goals, hook up with them, because it's all about building the business of you, right? You have to plan, you have to invest. And part of that investment means tapping into resources like these. And then you have to execute. So plan, invest, and execute. That's what I want to leave you with. And looking forward to next time we can all come together back on the Slave Food platform, conversations with the doctors. I know next time I have Korin and Neil, I have you guys on, man, I'm going to be ready to get my pose on too as well. I'm ready. I'm working my way. Korin, I've been looking at some of your before and after. So I'm like, I'm better than there before, but I don't know about the after. I'm not quite there at their after right yet. I'm somewhere in the middle. So I got to get to being better than their after. But man, it's been great. I love connecting with you two. Danette, any last words here as we sign off?
Yes, there were some questions going on, and we usually only do an hour. So this conversation just has not felt like, we've been talking a lot, but we haven't really addressed a couple of the questions. So I feel like if you guys just could give me like 3 more minutes, maybe I can address those few questions. There was a question about, do you think that weight training is more effective than cardio for weight loss? And then we also want to focus that in terms of like age, right? Because they say if you're a woman of a certain age, it's more important that you lift weights versus doing the cardio. So how would you both address that question?
For me, I feel that they both are equally the same, just because like the cardio helps with the caloric burn. So you can burn more in doing cardio. But when it comes to the strength training, the more muscle you gain, the more calories you can burn at rest. Okay. So it's like you don't want to just pick one or the other. You want to have a combination of both because you want a metabolic burning machine. Got it. And then again, with the diet, that's going to play a significant part as well. So it's like a trifecta. You want to do all three. You don't want to just eliminate one or the other.
Fantastic.
And that to add on to what Korin just said, because again, it's like you took the words out of my mouth. Kindred spirits, man. Is osteoporosis. So you talked about women of a certain age or people of a certain age. It's shown to greatly reduce the chances of developing osteoporosis, because we know someone falls, breaks a hip, and now all of a sudden independence is gone. Many things have changed. So it's good for bone strengthening. Right. And so I would recommend it, even if it's just 2 or 3 pounds that you can do form of strength training. You want to do something. Just get over I don't want to look like a man or whatever. All of those are myths. So not something you have to worry about. So it's important, no matter what your age, to do some type of strength training, in addition to whether it's just walking or whatever the case is.
And that's resistance training too, right? So they don't necessarily have to pick up a weight.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Then the last one was there's the myth or the statement. You guys can clarify if this is true. True weight loss will mainly occur with dietary changes, but to lose weight, there's a myth out there that you need to exercise 90 minutes a day, 5 days a week, in order to really burn, to get to where you need to be. Is that accurate or not? That 90 minutes a day?
Man, I don't have no time limit. Like I always tell people this: the more you put in, the more you get out. Simple as that. Yeah, it's like when you're trying to figure out what's the best time and all, like, like how bad do you want it? You know, because like I have students who would start off like at, just 45, 60 minutes, right? They'll lose some weight. But then after the second month, I have a real talk with them. I'm like, hey, you're doing good. You're doing great, Susie. You're doing everything perfect, meal plan, workouts. And then I'm like, but you know what would help you lose even more weight faster, you know, how about doing cardio then 20 minutes for a whole hour? You think you could do that? And then also put in another hour in the gym for resistance training, like 2 hours of training straight. You think you could do that? And if they have the time and they're like, yeah, I could wake up earlier. Like you're telling me if I do like 2 hours in the gym, I can lose more. I'm like, yep, you can lose more.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just build up.
Yeah, just build up.
Okay.
You know, the more you put in, more you get out. Like it's just like that. Yeah.
Right. The CDC suggestion is 150 minutes a week. Now, again, if someone is looking to look like an Instagram model, well, you're going to have to put in the work that it would take to look like that. But if your motivation is simply, hey, I'm diabetic, I want to get off blood pressure medication, and that would be fine. So it kind of depends on, I would say, what your motivation is. So if you're really looking, I want to look phenomenal. Well, phenomenal is going to require quite a bit of work,
right?
Phenomenal effort. If it is just simply, hey, you know what? I understand I'm not going to have a six pack, but I just want to be healthier. Well, then let's go with the 150 minutes of moderate to intense activity. But again, if it's these pair of jeans that I haven't been able to wear in however many years you want to fit into that, it's going to require more effort than you simply going for a walk or whatever the case is. It's going to take more than that.
All right.
I'm gonna chime in. Just remember that many of those recommendations, that's an excellent point, Neil, by the CDC, by the government, they're all trying to get the lowest denominator, people who aren't doing anything and trying to get them to do something. So in other words, the DASH diet that was developed in order to help lower blood pressure was based off of a vegan vegetarian diet. But the creators of the DASH diet, which is the one that's recommended across the United States, the authors and creators knew that the better diet was there in terms of the whole food plant-based, but they specifically tailored it because they said, you know what, we think we can get more people to do it, which means they dirtied it up a little bit to get more people to come down from when they were doing worse habits. So if I can get someone to move from the couch to walking 10 minutes, to walking 15 minutes, to walking 30 minutes, I've succeeded. But the goal is you have to really look at what is my ultimate goal. And that's what you both are saying here, right? What's my goal? What's my interim goal? And my goal is to be as healthy as I can, to drop my weight so it improves my overall risk factors completely. So that means I have to plan. I have to invest. I have to execute. I have to plan, invest, and execute on a regular basis. And that means you're going to, if you break up that 120 minutes into like, I'll do 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, 20 minutes there, and keep going on, it becomes additive. And so we want to do it, but you focus on a half hour a day. What that means is 23 and a half hours you're sitting down. That's no bueno. Right. That's no bueno. We have to change our mindset to get the outcomes we want.
Well, okay, I know we have to end now. So it sounds like, Columbus, we need to do a part 2 here. But
I'm thinking so.
We'll go ahead and wrap this one up. But Neil and Korin, if you guys could stay on, we'll try to get something scheduled for the next session.
All right, and those of you out there, I appreciate you all joining us. I'd love for anyone who's watching today that connects with Korin or Neil and you have a fabulous transformation, I want to bring you on along with this trainer, this inspirer, whoever's inspiring you, so we can have a conversation with one of you out there. So I'm looking for a solution for one of you guys to team up with Korin or Neil, and let's do this again. Let's come back for part 2.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much. We'll see you guys soon.
Okay, Korin and Neil, hang on, okay?
Will do.
Yeah, no doubt.